This video is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardines, to use this as an educational material.
So good day sir, I am Decadet Jantil Mapula. I am one of the member of Group 4. So our topic is global demography and global migrations and global citizenship. So the topic will be discussed for our group mates that was named Ram Padilla, Francis Lee, Sai, Igila Ronald, Julius H. Enriquez, John Ebuen Rondina, G. Devoda, and Wayne Sauro. So the discussion will be followed.
So, good day everyone. I'm Decadet Rondina June Ebuen, and my topic is explain the theory of demographic transition. So, the theory of demographic transitions predicts how a population will change over time in regards to the mortality and fertility rates, as well as age composition and life expectancy. So all factors must be taken into consideration when studying a specific human population. So later I will explain how this demographic transition affects the population. So the demographic transition is the change in human condition from high mortality and high fertility to it is a human condition from high mortality and high fertility to low mortality and low fertility. So kanang murag bali-bali sila, na high mortality, na low mortality, and nasay high fertility o low fertility. So for example, this death is now less capricious and most people live long lives. So as it affects global population. So it affects global population because, as I said earlier, the demographic transition is the change in human condition. For example, from high mortality and high fertility to low mortality and low fertility. So how does demographic transition affect the global population? So over the course of the demographic transition, it declines in fertility and mortality, cause important changes in a population's age composition. So in general, countries in the early stages of the transition have a younger age structure than country in the later stages. So explain the theory of demographic transition. So the word demography is relating to the structure of populations. The demographic trend is toward an older population. So it is a particular sector of a population that drink is popular with a young demographic. So when we say what is meant by the word of demographic, so demographic is the statistical characteristics of human populations, such as age or income. So it is used especially to identify markets. So for example, a change in the state's demographics, business, markets, or a segment of the population identified by demographics trying to reach a younger demographic. So the word demographic is a group. It is a group of people in a society. So especially people in a particular age group, most of this is gabi sa markets and incomes. So they try to sell a product to the markets so that they have an income. So as I say, it is relating to the structures of our populations. That's all. Thank you.
This is Ticatit Padilla Ramon, and my topic is all about the political, economic, cultural, and social factors underlying the global movements. So, socio-political, economic, and ecological factors are the main forces driving migration. Rising criminal violence worldwide, often as a result of ethnic or religious intolerance, has led to increased levels of migration. So economic disparity between developing and developed economies encourage the movement of skilled labor from the former to the latter. Temporary migration visas allow for an increase in the rate of circular migration. Changes in the ecological environment have the potential to worsen food and water insecurity in various parts of the globe. Limited access to food and water resources may push people to migrate to countries where these resources are more readily available. Globalization. Developing into a globally integrated and dependent world is something nature's evolution is forcing on us according to its relentless drive towards a fully integrated single system. We are simply using globalization in inevitable interconnections according to our nature inner program. Our political, economic, social, and cultural ideologies, principles, system are created, sustained by this human inner program. They reflect who we are by default. And this inner program is inherently self-serving, self-justifying, egocentric, subjective, and mutually exploitative. So at this stage, as long as we blindly follow our inner program, we and everything we have to ever built, invented, created are incompatible with nature's evolutionary direction. We act as cancer is nature integral, interdependent system. This is why we're sinking into an even ever deeper, seemingly unsolvable global crisis. So the solution is learning how we need to change, upgrade our inner program, and with this build nature-like, mutually responsible, mutually complementing interconnections, global cooperation, so with their help, we could start solving our problems and safeguard our collective survival. Many factors that influence migration are difficult to predict with while social, political, economic, and cultural development are exceptionally difficult to predict precisely. Judgment can be made up by the current situation. Social factors. Many factors that influence migration are difficult to predict, while social, political, economic, and cultural developments are exceptionally difficult to predict precisely. Judgment can be made upon current situation. Social factors. Number 1. Material status. Due to marriage, women migrate to husband's home place. Similarly, young unmarried women also migrate for the sake of job as they are energetic. 2. Political violence. People do not like to stay where there are political violence and disturbance. They intended to go to the place with political peace and safe environment. 3. Better facilities. People migrate to those places where they have better facilities of health service, educational service, transportation, and communication, and the life is easier. First-hand knowledge of the experience of OFWs. OFWs endures problems regarding money, material conflict, parenting concerns, abuse, and other problems regarding employment. By determining because it helps us to move in life, but it also no wonder some of them give up and go home. It can be taught, but the determination to provide their family service as their motivation. When a Filipino worker is sent to become part of the foreign workforce, the person maybe has a reason, but one of their bosses attempt rape, so that person needs help of the government because they're only one who can help her or him. The government might provide their financial, families opportunities, and will return to the Philippines to never experience that again.
Topic: Analyze the cultural and social factors underlying the global movements of people and display first-hand knowledge of the experience of OFWs. Migration has become a common demographic response of the Filipinos to various socio-economic problems. In the light of the severe economic crisis that has confronted the country in recent years, the Philippines has become a major source for international migrants and become one of the largest sending countries of labor to various countries in the world. The Filipino workers, both women and men, leave the country in order to earn a sustainable income, a condition that is difficult or inadequate in their own country. This research investigated if OFWs perceive themselves within the context of the social labels, local, modern-day heroes, or global servants. Do these labels affect their personal, family, or social life? Globalization has created a new reality for OFWs. There has been a feminization of Philippine migration, and OFWs have based their identity on what they can do to further family. OFWs know who they are and do not care how others perceive them because of the importance of OFWs place on the welfare and well-being of their families. Labels are of the little significance to them. Reasons for the movement of people in the world, nation or state. This section focuses on the movement of people in the world, nation or state, and the physical, cultural, economic, and political reasons for that movement. The material presented is designed to help you meet the following objective. Many reasons exist for human movement across the planet. These include physical, cultural, economic, and political reasons, as well as subsets or combination of these reasons. For instance, migration due to political reasons may include cultural reasons as well, such as religious persecution. Most migration in human history has been group migration, but present-day globalization has changed that. Except for those who are displaced by disasters or the effects of climate change. Most people now move singly or in family units, and the reasons for moving are due largely to economic factors.
Good day, Sir Ardenes. I am the Canadian Del Mapula. So for the continuation of our topic and Demography. So, our topic is all about articulate a personal definition of global citizenship and appreciate the ethical obligations of global citizenship. So, what is global citizenship? So, global citizenship means an awareness of the interconnectedness among people, societies, and environments around the globe. It emphasizes responsibilities and contribution to a global society and economy. So, how do you explain the ethical obligations of global citizenship? At a global level, the responsibilities include the responsibilities to understand one's own perspective and those of others, to protect the principle of culture's diversity, to make connections and build social and working relationship with people from other country and cultures. So, the ethical of global citizenship have their potential value in education because they prepare learners to face the global issues and provide them with the necessary skills and ethical concepts such as respect, empathy, cooperation, and many other standards in order to create global ethical societies. So what does it mean to think like an ethical global citizen? So a global citizen is someone who sees themselves as part of an emerging sustainable world community and those actions support the values and practices of that community. So what is the importance of global citizenship? So with a global citizenship, educations, young people are able to solve problems, make decisions, think critically, communicate ideas effectively, and work well with the others. This not only helps them personally and educationally, but eventually professionalism will help a global education in the classroom is a paramount. So, what is the role of global citizenship in globalization? So, according to UNESCO, global citizenship refers to a sense of belonging to a broader community and common humanity. It emphasizes political, economic, social, and cultural interdependency and interconnectedness between the local and national to global. So, what is the difference between a citizen and global citizen? A national citizenship is an incident of birth. Global citizenship is different. It is a voluntary association with the concept that signifies ways of thinking and living within multiple cross-cutting communities, cities, regions, state, nations, and international collectiveness. So, when you say global citizenship in contemporary world, so global citizenship means an awareness of the interconnectedness among people, societies, and environments around the globe. So, what are the example of global citizenship? So, with today's ability to travel by air and water, people can buy things from all over the world. You may eat a banana from Colombia or watch a television that was made in China. So that is the example of global citizen. Understand that everyone is connected through that device. And how do you describe yourself as a global citizenship or a global citizen? So what is a global citizen? So a global citizen is respectful of the cultural diversity and human rights. They're empathic to causes and suffering around the world and feel responsible for their impact on it and making change. So they see themselves as a citizen of the world by ranging than a single country. So what is our ethical responsibility to others? So ethical responsibility is the ability to recognize, interpret, and act upon multiple principles and the values according to the standards within a given field and or the context. So the definition of obligation is something that someone is required to do. An example of obligation is for a student to turn and his homework on time every day, a moral or legal duty to perform or to not perform some action. So that's
Good day, sir. This is the Cadet Enriquez Julius Cesar, and I am going to tackle about the topic you given. What is the global migration in contemporary world? So, so it means like that one is in every 7 person in the world has changed place so on or residence either within their own country. About 700 million of internal migrants are moved to another country, 244 million international migrants. Therefore, some authors. So there are many. There are 7% in the world has changed place. So there are an estimated 272 million international migrants around the world, and while that equals just 3.5% of the world's population, and it already surpasses some projection for 2050. Since 1970, the number of people living in the other country than where they were born was tripled. So there are many people was international immigrants around the world. So what is the importance of global migration in contemporary world? So the importance of the migration of contemporary world is migration often driven by the search for better livelihoods and new opportunities. So there are more new opportunities like livelihood, like what the migration do to the livelihoods better, or indeed global or regional social economic inequalities, and also expressed most powerful through the figure of the migrant. So it can express about the qualities of the regional social and economic, and as one who crosses the borders in search of works, there are the education and the new horizons. So once you cross about the borders, you will search a work, and you will be uneducated or a new horizons in the world. So what is global impact of migration? So it is global impact. Migration raises the world GDP in a particular by raising productivity average by capital per capita income. So native increase as their skills and complement those of migrants. Remittance from abroad lift income per capita in the origin countries, helping to offset the potentially negative effect of immigration. What than the impact of the global impact of migration? So the impact is what are the particular raising productivity. So we need to increase our skills to complement about the migrants, and how we see the how we help the residents. So
Hello, I'm Iborda Jade. So we are going to talk about the 4 types of global migration. Before that, let's first discuss who we are talking about. There were 244 million migrants internationally in 2018, accounting for 3.3% of global population. Since the year 2000, the total number of international migrants has increased by 85 million or 49%. The International Organization for Migration or IOM defines a migrant as a person who moves away from their place of usual residence, whether within a country or across an international border, temporarily or permanently. To gather a broader understanding of the distinct causes of migration, we will examine the four most common types of migration, as categorized by International Organization for Migration. First is the labor migration. Labor migration is defined as the movement of persons from one state to another or within their own country of residence for the purpose of employment. There were an estimated 164 million migrant workers globally in 2017, making up 59% of the world international migration population. This number includes migrants that move internally within a country borders or move from rural areas to urban centers, and move externally across national borders. This migration pattern can be attributed to economic inequalities, desire for employment, or both economic, political, and environmental factors all play a role in the push or pull factors of labor migration. Next is the forced migration or displacement. Forced migration or displacement is defined as the movement of persons who have been forced or obliged to flee or to leave their homes or places of habitual residence, in particular as a result of or in order to avoid the effect of armed conflict, situations of generalized violence, violations of human rights, or natural or human-made disasters. Of the 70.8 million people forcibly displaced, 41.3 million or 58% were internally displaced. The remaining 25.9 million refugees and 3.5 million asylum seekers or 42% were externally displaced. Over the past 10 years, the number of forcibly displaced people, both within countries and across borders, has grown by over 50%. Today, 1 out of every 108 people is displaced. Next is the human trafficking and modern slavery. Human trafficking and modern slavery are defined as the action or practice of illegally transporting people from one country or area to another, typically for the purposes of forced labor or sexual exploitation. So, of the 25 million victims of forced labor, 5 million are estimated to have crossed an international border. The crime of human trafficking is complex and dynamic, taking place in a wide variety of contexts and difficult to detect. That's why high quality quantitative data is difficult to attain due to the context of the victims of human trafficking and modern slavery. And lastly is the environmental migration. Environmental migration is defined as persons or group of persons who predominantly for reasons of sudden or progressive changes in the environment that adversely affect their lives or living conditions, are obliged to leave their habitual homes or choose to do so, either temporarily or permanently, and who move within their country or abroad. So 17.2 million people across 144 countries and territories were newly migrate due to the environmental disasters. The majority of these migrants were displaced within the context of their own country, with a very small number forced to move abroad. So that's all for the four types of migration. So I hope you learned something.
Why there is global migration? Migration is a key features of our increasingly interconnected world. It has also become a flashpoint for debate in many countries, which underscores the importance of understanding the patterns of global migration and the economic impact that is created when people move across the world borders. A new report from Mackenzie Global Institute MGI, People on the Move Global Migration's Impact and Opportunity, aims to fill this need. Refugees might be the face migration in the media, but 90% of the world's 247 million migrants have moved across borders voluntarily, usually for economic reasons. Voluntary migration flows are typical gradual, placing less stress on logistics and on the social fabric of destination countries that refugee flows. Most voluntary migrants are working age adults, a characteristic that helps raise the share of the population that is economically active in the destination countries. By the contrast, the remaining 10% are refugees and asylum seekers who have fled to another country to escape conflict and persecution. Roughly half of the world's 24 million refugees are in the Middle East and North America, Africa, reflecting the dominant pattern of flight to a neighboring country. But the recent surge of arrivals in Europe has focused the developed world's attention on this issue. A companion report, Europe's New Refugees, a roadmap for better integration outcomes, examines the challenges and opportunities confronting individual countries. While some migrants travel long distances from their origin countries, most migration still involves people moving to neighboring countries or to countries in the same part of the world exhibit. About half of all migrants globally have moved with developing to developed countries. Indeed, this is the fastest growing type of movement. Almost two-thirds of world's migrants reside in developed countries, where they often fill key occupational shortages. From 2000 to 2014, immigrants contributed to 40 to 80% of labor force growth in the major destination countries. Moving more labor to higher productivity setting boost global GDP. Migrants of all skills contribute to this effect, whether through innovation and entrepreneurship, through freeing up natives for higher value work. In fact, migrants make up just 3.4% of the world's populations, but MGI research find that they contribute nearly 10% of global GDP. They contributed roughly $6.7 trillion to global GDP in 2015, some 3 trillion dollar more than they would have produced in their origin countries. Developed nations realize more than 90% of this effect. Employment rates are slightly lower immigrants than for native workers in top destinations, but this varies by skill level and by region of origin. Extensive academic evidence shows that immigration does not harm native employment of wages, although there can be short-term negative effects of there is a large inflow of migrants to a small region. If migrants are close substitutes for native workers, or if the destination economy is experiencing a downturn, So, good day, sir. I am Laurnal Alanje R, and my topic is advantages and disadvantages of sending and the receiving countries. So, migration is the movement of people of their belongings from one place to another, often over long distances. There are many benefits to migration, such as allowing people to move due to war, natural disasters, or economic hardships. Furthermore, there are also some challenges to migration, such as displacement of native communities and loss of culture. For instance, a lot of people have been migrating to the United States over the last few decades, and most of them have chosen to settle down in new cities or communities. Some people might think that migration is a good choice because it could lead to more opportunities. So advantage for the sending countries. So developing countries benefits from remittances. So every day, migrants send money to their family members in developing countries. So these remittances are an important part of economy in such countries can be used for investment in infrastructure, healthcare, education, and security. So reduction of unemployment. So migrating can have positive impact on the country of origin. It can increase their economic stability, reduce unemployment, and improve their workforce's productivity. In addition to that, young migrants can be seen as a source of innovation and talent. So migrants bring back skills, contacts, and other useful tools. Migration not only leads to social and economic benefits for host countries, but for countries of origin as well. Millions of migrants left their home countries and settled in another country. So mostly the western one. Then disadvantage for the sending countries. So loss of financial and informational wealth. So when countries are experiencing high levels of migration, the young population of the country will not be able to provide their previous level of economic contribution. This can result in a significant loss of wealth to the country as a whole. So loss of skilled labor. So one of the negative impacts of migration is in the loss of qualified human resources in countries of origin. So examples when the doctors there are asserted positions in country they live. So negative effect on children. So when people migrate, they usually leave family members behind. So this can lead to children growing up without a wider family circle that provides emotional and material support. Advantage for the receiving countries. Job vacancies can be filled. So migration can have a number of benefits of the host country. It has the potential to fill job vacancies and develop skills gap with the workforce, improve business productivity, and boost national productivity. So increase economic growth. So the economic benefits of migration to the host country of low-skilled laborers often weighs the risks and costs of the host. So can benefit location where the majority of the population is old. So when an economy begins to stagnate, fewer young people move into the area. So there's a significant detrimental impact on services like healthcare and education that rely on stable population. So additional sources for the host country. Though some countries are experiencing a demographic crisis as the number of people in the country shrinks and number of people able to work shrinks, however, this population decline can be used to their advantage by accepting immigrants from other. So new innovations and ideas. So researchers who have studied immigrants in the United States say that their presence has resulted in a positive impact on society. So services. So increased population can put pressure on public services. The more people there are, the more towns and cities have to build as well as new residential areas, schools, and hospitals to accommodate them. This creates a strain on the government and its budget. So displacement of jobs. So the number of people immigrating into a country can have economic and social implications. If unending numbers of people are migrating into an area, they can have detrimental consequences like the displacement of jobs, unemployment, and unlimited access to resources. So migrants take time to adapt a new environment. So through it's possible to integrate an acceptance within a limited time frame, there are still difficulties that come from this movement. Some of these challenges include language barriers, threats of terrorism and violence, health concerns, and discrimination and racism. So that's all for my topic.